It was still dark outside. The slight glow from the quarter moons in the sky barely gave them enough light to see where they were walking. It didn't seem to matter. Everyone was curious enough about what awaited them that they continued to follow in the captain's wake until they all stood outside of the dome. It wasn't long after that the sun began to peek through the twilight and bring the first signs of color to their world, as the sky turned shady hues of pink, then orange, then blue in various stages of sunrise. In some ways, the rising of the sun felt anticlimactic. It wasn't a bright, warm sun like it was on Earth, and it didn't light up the world to make it crystal clear like they were used to. But at least it wasn't dark or dingy. They could see well enough to know what they were doing, and best of all, the sky was a blue. It was a deeper shade of blue than on Earth, but still close enough to give it that touch of familiarity everyone seemed to need. Adele walked up to Captain Tremont's side and placed her hand on the sleeve of his uniform with a shaky hand and quietly announced, "They are coming." The whispered words Adele uttered spread through the crowd like a tsunami and was quickly followed by the sounds of thousands of wings that caused dust and dirt to whirl into the air. Everyone shielded their eyes from the particles of soil, and when it settled enough so they could safely uncover their faces, a ring of winged people surrounded the ship. One lone male stood apart from the others, and it was obvious that he was slightly older, for he was the only one who appeared to have any signs of gray in his hair. He smiled at them as he spread his arms in welcome and spoke into their minds. "We, the inhabitants of Tantalus, bid you and yours welcome." As the tribunal elder finished speaking, 4 others like him stepped forward and bowed. Each held a box, which they presented to Captain Tremont and whoever stood with him as assumed representative for their people. Captain Tremont passed the box he was given to Kara, then bowed back at the winged men, who had given them their gifts before responding. "Your welcome overwhelms us." One of the men who had accepted one of the boxes opened his to gape at the treasures it contained. "Black pearls! On Earth, these would be worth a fortune! This box alone would pay for the ship and voyage it took to get us here." Other gasps were heard as the news of the gift was spread from person to person. This went way beyond anything anyone had expected. They were happy just to have a place to call home and not lost in the void of space. If there were a way to send one of these boxes to their home planet, they would be out of debt. It might even entice more of their people to come, though some wondered about the wisdom of that idea. They weren't so sure they wanted to share this world with millions of people like those they had left behind. "These are our people." The tribunal elder introduced those who stood behind him. There was a winged man standing every 30 feet from his neighbor, with his black wings wrapped around someone in front of him. Mitchell telepathically called out the order to begin the greeting ceremony, and the men unfurled their wings to reveal their mates. The women stepped forward to give a slight bow as they also spread out their wings. In their case, their feathers were white. Not a sound could be heard anywhere as the 2 species studied each other curiously. The unmated winged people then flew in to set up a second ring around the domed city. It didn't take long for the young human girls to notice that most of the people in the second circle were males, very impressive-looking men dressed in leather skirt-like wraps that were decorated with black pearls. "Holy shit!" Trevor whispered to his brother as he leaned towards him. "I have died and gone to heaven. Look at the bodies on those angels." One of Trevor's friends was quick to respond as he ogled the women.
"I wouldn't mind getting a taste of something like that."
"Our women are off bounds to your men," the tribunal elder warned. The tribunal elder's words were reinforced by the sound of snapping black wings as the men from Tantalus fully extended them. Again, the field went silent as the humans viewed the winged people with awe. A few sighed as one of the younger children spoke.
"It must be wonderful to be able to fly. I wish I could."